Hello, my name is Dalma Demeter, and I'm an academic, independent legal and dispute resolution practitioner and international consultant based in Australia. I have the pleasure of bringing you this course on cybersecurity, which is developed as part of a technical assistance program funded by the Asian Development Bank and hosted by the ADBI Institute. This course is composed of 3 units. This is the first unit on the relevance of data protection. This unit will explain why security of data is something that every individual and organization needs to be aware of, and will tell you about some of the more recent and also some of the more staggering cyber attacks. These will hopefully serve as food for thought to reevaluate your cybersecurity awareness. The second and third units will go into the technical aspects of recognizing cyber attacks and data security tools that will help recognize and respond to cybersecurity incidents and data breaches. Cybersecurity, also called computer security or information technology IT security, is how data systems, devices, and networks are protected from information disclosure, theft of or damage to hardware, software, or electronic data. Cybersecurity is how services these systems provide are protected from disruption or misdirection. It includes strategies and techniques combined with people and processes designed to secure businesses and communities against financial loss caused through electronic means. Unfortunately, cybersecurity is like dispute resolution, a topic that nobody thinks of until something bad happens, a topic that is not prioritized in business planning, and a topic that seems to be too technical for everyday users to deal with. However, cybersecurity is not something we can afford to ignore and hope for the best. With the number of mobile devices, apps, and internet-connected appliances, everyone and every organization is constantly exposed to hundreds of ways of vulnerability. Think of this as a constantly changing natural environment where there are hundreds of types of bacteria and viruses and other contaminants that are threatening our health. And think of cybersecurity as a set of personal hygiene and precaution measures that every one of us learns to take to protect ourselves from those contaminants. Security is no longer just a requirement of IT or security administrators. It is an essential requirement for all individuals, businesses, and other entities that are connected with any type of data. The first data hacking was recorded as far back as 1834, where transmissions were done by positioning movable arms on top of towers to show letters and numbers, which were then observed from another tower through a telescope. Now, the most recent cyber attacks can steal credit card details instantaneously without being noticed from distance. But no matter the method or the time hacking takes, data security issues are an inherent part of data transmission, and it also changes with technology. Cybersecurity is not a fixed science, but it constantly evolves to stay ahead of existing threats. With the development of technology, keeping data secure becomes more challenging, partly due to the growing range and complexity of smart devices, partly because of the skills of those who try to abuse of these systems. The top 10 computer attacks of all times range from the strange to the dangerous, but all equally damaging. There were, for example, automated attacks that resulted in taking down bank services, media outlets, broadcasters, and government bodies in Estonia, apparently as a response for moving a statue away from the city center. In another incident, hackers stole and leaked sensitive data from Sony Pictures, a movie-making company, demanding to block the release of a comedy that they thought was offensive. But there were also large-scale power outages caused by cyber attacks, and once NASA shut down and lost contact with the space station as a result of a cyber attack. The stealing of millions of credit card and personal identification details and ransomware that caused billions of dollars in damages by locking computers are by now so common that we can't even identify a single attack to raise as an example. But dangerous examples also include, for example, a virus that damaged the entire country's nuclear infrastructure, which raises a different kind of risks. As display of some of the more interesting cyber attack news, here are also just a few from the first 5 months of 2005, and they do not even include the many others that surround the Ukraine-Russia war or the more recent impact that AI like ChatGPT have on cybersecurity. In January 2022, confidential information about more than 500,000 people, many of them vulnerable victims of war, had been stolen from more than 60 Red Cross national societies around the world. In February same year, several oil transport and storage companies in Europe were affected by simultaneous cyber attacks across over a dozen terminals, with every port they run in Europe and Africa being affected. Then a manufacturer of small appliance temperature controls was hit by a cyber attack. Now, to understand the large-scale impact of an attack like this, note that this manufacturer exports those temperature control products to be used in the manufacturing of kettles all around the world. In March 2020, still just a few months into the year, Toyota closed down 28 production lines across 14 factories in Japan after its plastic parts and electronic components supplier, Kojima Industries, was hit by a suspected cyber attack. Toyota had to close these lines to isolate the risk of affecting the Toyota manufacturing, which could cause undetected safety issues. Then in May, an Indian airline had its passengers stranded as a result of a ransomware attack. While being stranded is better than discovering a safety issue mid-air as a result of cyber attack, the ransomware affected the company's quarterly audit process, so it had serious financial business consequences. Finally, a more puzzling and amusing example should make us realize how even the most innocent gadgets can be the source of data vulnerability. This attack is from a few years back, when in 2018 a casino was allegedly hacked through a digital thermometer that was monitoring water temperature in a fish tank in the casino's lobby. The casino was not formally identified in the news reporting about the incident, but either way, the cost of the hacking was likely significant. By the way, a good source of information to stay up to date about what is happening in the cybersecurity sphere is a website called thehackernews.com. They are the ones who reported about the casino incident as well. Cybercrime is one of the top three financial crimes, along with fraud and money laundering. And considering that fraud and money laundering are nowadays also committed through electronic transactions, it is easy to see that cybercrime is the most costly crime in the world. The global cost of cyber attacks in 2021 exceeded 6 trillion US dollars and is forecasted to grow to more than 10 trillion by 2025. In 2022, financial gain was behind over 90% of all cybercrime, according to a study, with espionage or ideological motives coming up second with less than 10%. Grudge, convenience, and so-called fun represent an insignificantly small percentage of all data breaches. Most financially motivated cyber attacks are also committed by professional criminals deliberately trying to steal information, with 71% committed by large organizations. Cybercrime is really a modern-day mafia, and nobody is entirely safe from it. If all this makes it seem that cybercrime is something only for large corporations and governments to consider, think again. While every big brand name you may know will have had its share of cyber attack, about half of the targets are small and mid-sized businesses. In addition, due to the connectedness, cyber attacks against anyone cause damage to government, businesses, and individuals equally, simply because of that relationship, that ongoing online connection that we have. How the extent of attacks translates to the Asia-Pacific region, you may ask. According to the Cybersecurity Hub, in 2022, as many as 59% of businesses from the region reported being a victim of a cyber attack, and 32% reported being the victim of multiple attacks. Cybercrime is an unwanted equalizer. It has no geographical boundaries and no regard to state borders. Before moving on, I want to also raise your awareness of a more serious area where a different type of vital industries can be affected. There is an increased use of smart technology in farming to make it more efficient. With AI-assisted production, packaging, and delivery, researchers from Cambridge warn us that agriculture and entire food supply chains can be exposed to cyber attacks. There are billions of devices connected to the internet globally, and all those devices contain sensitive data. This makes cybersecurity as essential as closing your door when you leave your house or the office. Cybersecurity is all about managing and mitigating risks. Well-managed risks build trust between businesses, customers, and authorities by ensuring each other that their data is well protected. For this, however, cybersecurity needs to be top of mind for everyone, not just IT personnel. Unfortunately, the vast majority of attacks go undetected. Big cyber attacks make it to the headline in the media, but smaller ones are unrecognized or not recognized in time, while still causing significant damage. Interestingly, while most organizations consider cybersecurity a business risk, they often find out about their own data breaches from others, customers, business partners, or even the police, and they do not have a formal cybersecurity incident response plan, something that we will discuss in the last unit of this course. It is absolutely essential that everyone, no matter whether running an e-commerce business, managing government systems, or just buying a fish tank thermometer online, is aware of data protection. Data that is well protected doesn't end up in hackers' hands and doesn't make news headlines, but it keeps businesses, authorities, and personal lives running, and that's what matters. Now, this was just a brief introduction to the concepts and relevance of cybersecurity, simply because too many people, businesses and individuals, users alike, fail to consider it as essential component of electronic transactions that we are involved in on a daily basis. In the next unit, we will deal with cyber attacks more closely, the terminology used in the field, and how to recognize the different cyber incidents. So keep on looking. I see you in the next video. Thank you.